This conference will now be recorded.
All right, well, welcome this afternoon. This is Plat 2's 2019 Facility Plan meeting with the State Construction Department. We'll introduce ourselves.
So I'm Brandon Finney. My role in the department is to work with the facility planning process and identify any needs that need to be presented to the legislature, and then present those to the commission, select committee, joint appropriations, and follow it through to an appropriation hopefully.
Paul Severson, I provide leadership, coordination, and calibration for consistency among the project managers so that we can deliver our services as equally to all districts as much as possible. We always slip up a little bit here and there, but we sure try.
Amber Leach with planning, and my role through this is preparing the documents and working with the district in preparation for today's meeting.
Troy Decker, Planning. I'm just here to support and help Amber. My quality control is my job. Make sure we abide by all state statutes, rules, and regs. Make sure that we have a document in which the district has full voice, we have full voice, and then really helping prepare for budget recommendations that go on to our commission and eventually the select committee. And then also just making sure that these facility plans are developed in such a way that if the governor's office, legislators, whoever else would like in the state government information on these, it's really nice to have it succinct, and they can kind of get a really good idea of your district in a very short amount of time. And then also for district changeover. As you well know, there's a lot of changeover in districts, and
Yes.
You have new leadership come in, sometimes entire teams. I mean, you could have a business manager, superintendent, facilities person head out the same year. Then the poor people next, they're wondering, well, what did we do? What did you guys talk about? What's the history? So I think these are good for consistency with districts as they move forward with a change in personnel.
Absolutely, and I'm Charlie Kaufman. I do all the data reports and manage all the data for the database in our department. I also do a lot of research and reports.
I'm Raj Nami. I'm the accounting analyst. Also, I work in AIM, the AIM assistant, kind of help these guys out with the database. And since Charlie's moving on to Plat 1, kind of just help him out.
I took the business manager job for Plat 1. Yes, I did. So thank you. Yeah, I start February 11th. So,
I heard that. Yeah, congratulations.
thank you.
These guys are
Yeah,
gonna miss you too.
yeah, it was quite a whirlwind. So
We'll call in between midnight and 6 to get a bit more information.
There you go.
Yeah. So he's nice and close now, right?
yeah, not too far down the road. Yeah.
Michael Burnett, SFD, project manager for design and construction.
Dennis Flaherty, Plat 2 facility manager.
Mike Beard, superintendent, Plat 2.
All right, well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming in person. I'm going to go ahead and turn off our video camera, and so we don't have any streaming issues there. So with that, the first part of this, I think we have everybody accounted for here, so we're working good there. Oops, except for Kim. She's not here, correct?
Right.
Okay, so we'll get rid of her name. So one thing that's really improved over the last several years is Charlie working with the GIS with each county and just basically making sure we have he double confirms ownership of properties and stuff. But anyway, he does
make one quick comment. So Platte County is all paper based when it comes to the information on properties. So I had to reach out personally to the county assessor up there to get information for.
So they basically gave you a paper version of what?
Basically, they gave me a paper version, and then I was able to figure out where the boundaries were. So,
wow. Yeah, that's the last county probably that has that.
I think they're the last and only. I think
Really?
they're looking to. I don't know what their future plans are, but at this point, they were the last ones. So.
Huh. Interesting. So it's kind of nice because it just gives a photo of your site.
What's this called? Buses?
Bus barn, yeah.
Bus. This one?
That is not ours. That is a natural gas.
Yeah, that's natural gas.
Gas TBS station, it's town border station.
Okay. So
Our property is right up there north north wall, actually.
Yeah,
Like
that-
when it goes like that.
Yep, yep.
So
Or-
that's the hard part when you're
It's-
looking at those lines. They can be even just a
Story
hair
behind
off.
that, I worked for the gas company for 24 years. And we had a door going out the north side, and the superintendent at that time came to us and said, "You have to move your door because you're on our property." So we swung the door around to the other side.
the
Yeah,
side?
true story. Yeah,
Serious?
serious.
And then this building up here?
This one?
Yeah, right there.
That's
That's
like
a residence.
Residence,
That's a
that's a
garage.
garage to a residence there.
So that must not be on your property.
So this needs a little loving.
Hey, I'm sorry. It's one of those things when you're looking at the stuff on a paper copy, some of the lines are,
Yeah, so bring that line south of that white garage.
so bring the line south of the white garage.
And it goes like this.
And so it goes up and, okay.
Yeah,
So-
that's it.
and
So
here-
Roger, you updating us?
All right, so let's go
That way we make sure we got it correct.
right up.
Yeah, the rest of it all made sense. A couple
And
of
then
those
also
looking
that,
didn't make
you
sense to
have
me.
the Quonset building over there by the National Guard,
And
south
on
of the
right?
track.
Uh-huh.
That is not ours.
So it'd be right here.
Yes.
So I get a, all right. So I
Hey,
get
good
a-
job. We need to
so-
challenge Charlie these last 2 days.
There you
All
go.
right, you
Give him
gotta
something
put
to do.
We're shocked, but,
Place here.
okay, let's go on. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
you're welcome.
Housekeeping, right? So we can go through this fairly quickly, but we always have to have you verify the acreages.
Yes.
That doesn't impact your WDE block grant with regard to groundskeepers, so we want to make sure that's accurate. And that is according to the deeds, even though maybe the picture doesn't show. So we don't have any other needs. I just said AIM database is updated. Our property profiles, these are the buildings. It's kind of hard to see those. Brandon's usually blind, can't see that stuff. You've reviewed those and verified them. That these square footages do have an impact on your major maintenance calculations. We want to make sure you get what you deserve. And WDE operations and maintenance payments. So it's all WDE sends us information, we send them data, and we both use it for purposes for generating money for districts. There are no building leases. We don't have to worry about that. You've reviewed your enhancements. This is important. You've only done one there, that all-weather surface track, but it's above and beyond the adequacy standards, and we're responsible for reporting that to the select committee each year. And
Yes.
enhancements. So we're up to date there as well. District appropriations, session law requires us to always look at if there's any capital funds out there and they're done, to revert those funds. You don't have any. So I think district has no capital projects to report.
Sure.
Yes,
Can I
sir.
ask on that enhancement?
You bet.
The source of funds on our enhanced acknowledgement, does it tell where the funds are coming from?
No.
Okay.
Well, they do have an opportunity to identify, but it's not specific.
The reason I ask is because this bill has us reporting to joint education committee. And they want to know all of these and then where the money's coming from. They must
So
be.
there's
drilled in
a
required.
checkbox on that.
I'm thinking there is.
Yeah, we've always had that.
It says what color money.
It says
No,
usually it comes in like for the
But it
maintenance.
says like district funds, and that's.
Well, it
because the
depends on
district
who.
has
So I've seen
lots of
some
different
agreements where they
funds.
talk about that it's a rec mill, or I've had some of them. It just depends on. It can be very generic. You're right, but
Well, if that law passes, we'll have to find out how specific they want to be.
because
Other than that, we haven't
bill is
really
that?
asked you much about where your enhancements come from.
Yeah, sorry to, it just, I
Yeah.
just thought of, we're on here.
And that was just to
School
see what
district.
happened there was we upgraded the track service at the time. The track surface from, that was when 1A, 2A was only allowed the,
6 lanes.
not only the 6 lanes, but the type of surface.
Okay.
You know, you
Right.
go blacktop.
Upgraded everything.
Surface.
We upgraded to a
Synthetic.
synthetic surface, and that was our enhancement, was the
Gotcha.
upgrade to synthetic surface. And not 8 lanes, just, you're still 6 lanes.
And they're a smaller community, so they only have, it's like 100 yards short of a full track.
Yeah.
Makes us faster.
Yeah.
Times are always good.
Well, yeah, our times are always good.
That's like Sheridan 3. They're building a track and they don't quite have enough to do the full length, so they're making it make it work. You know what I mean?
It looks more like a Le Mans.
Yeah, that's right. You need
that's more of a weird old boy than it is a full elongated.
But I guess we could go back in records and find out where that funding came.
Yeah, if this bill passes, we
Yeah.
have, it says The school district shall identify the source of funding
Sure.
related to each project under this section, which is on the enhancement.
What's the bill?
House
I
Bill
was on
01.
the school
You know,
board.
here's the challenge though. Here's the challenge, that request. You may be 3, 4, 5, 6 business managers later.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling you, for them to find that is going to be, that's why like this general fund here, I mean, that's about as generic as you can get, right?
Yeah,
And
maybe that's the level we give them.
we give them what we have.
Okay.
And it just is what it is. And so,
Yeah.
anyway,
This report, we give them that.
yeah, but we do have that
Just thinking
in,
about it as it's coming.
In AIM,
in the database. We have something designated in funding source on every one of them that I know of, but we'll
yeah,
double
if they
check.
want something more specific, they'll have to tell us what it is.
District appropriations, then we talked about that. We don't have any capital projects. And then Michael, if you talk
Yeah,
about,
well, the only capital money they do have is actually security capital money. And, but just to get going on security, so the current budget request to the JAC draft bill for 2018 for fiscal year 2020 is 4.9 million proposed for additional security related projects. Fiscal year 2021 and 2022, 10% of major maintenance has been discussed in the select committee to not be in there. So unlike enhanced funds, 10% security major maintenance may not be in the future. Previous 10% security major maintenance was in 2016 House Enrolled Act 12. Fiscal year 17 and 18. The school district may expend up to 10% of the amount distributed under major maintenance program for the period commencing July 1, 2015, ending July 1, 2018 for safety and security and building needs. 2018 House Enrolled Act 62 basically did the same thing for the next year. So it did the same thing from July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2020 for safety and security needs. District's written request for CAPCON funding revision will be honored. Moving funds between project appropriations must be in writing. And also acknowledge that there'll be no backfill. SFD will honor change agreements made by SFD that are captured in written record. Of course, the goal of this is to have equal opportunity to all the different school districts, consistent security standards. The School Facilities Commission and the Select Committee on School Facilities have continued to identify concern with slow deployment of the funds. Other additional avenues for funding are Homeland Security funding, Department of Interior funding, and project grants. We have had security conferences, and I think you guys went to some of those. We had one in October 2017, March of 2018, October of 2018, and we're looking right now at what we're going to be doing in 2019. And then the question for us, to you guys, is how can we help you expend those security funds? And so we went kind of round and round because you guys had, originally I believe it was RB plus B or Randy Byers.
TDSI.
TDSI set up a security bid package. We bid it out. And it was remote and it was kind of a smaller scale. And so
Was over
no
budget,
bidders.
wasn't it?
No bidders, yeah.
So
Oh, no bidders.
No bidders.
Then what they wanted to do is, that, I don't know if you recall, Brian, but then they said, well, we've bid it out. Now we want to slice and dice it. We want to take this little piece of the bid package and sole source that. Take this piece, sole source that. And the idea was that you couldn't break it up after you bid it. You'd have to rebid it, and that's where the conversation.
Yeah, 21.3110 says you can't break it up to avoid that.
Yeah, so that's where we ended with that. So I'm curious.
Well, what happened is we've got some of the same stuff going on. We're just going to an entrance. We moved the entrance down the hall to a different area. Same equipment, same everything, it's just kind of moved it to a different area of the school, so.
Troy, can you go back to the aerial?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Were you able to get a pack, someone to bid it or give you a number?
Well, so we finally got a number, yes.
They can
So
put
that's
it-
where we are right now with the number.
So you were here, where did you move it to? Or where are you moving it to?
So it will be,
Between those two buildings, right there, yep.
Right up in
Yep,
there?
right in there.
Yep.
Okay.
We talked about
with
that.
closing everything else off,
Yeah, main entry.
Yep.
Main entry, yep.
single entry.
Single entries.
Vestibule.
Vestibule.
Yeah, you
Yep.
come up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's the idea there is then to close and consolidate, sweep all the security projects into this one
Right.
security project, and you guys can use your 10% major maintenance.
Right, that's where we wanted to use that at.
So,
So that's where I'm at. I want to get with you to
Yeah.
figure out how we can disperse that
Right.
within the,
Yeah.
within the project.
Did you guys hear rough cost at all? About the-
Yeah, the rough cost for that was somewhere around 240,000, something like that.
Who is the architect?
The architect, TDS and I,
Or TDS?
TDS and I, yeah.
we've got 42 grand.
So that's new vestibules, that's putting some security gates in
Close another 40.
to kind of get to where if we had an intruder, they couldn't get up or down the hall. That's new storefronts, although we would like to go a different way there with some steel doors.
And the vestibule's coming out from the building, basically, or?
The vestibules, the exit's there already.
Yeah.
It just needs to be expanded to make the ADA requirement.
Okay, and you're adding square footage.
Yes.
So I think that major maintenance definition, Paul, for repair and replace, like replacing lights, so they replace the sunlight with artificial lights?
That's an interesting idea. Never heard that one.
So nice.
So essentially, you take this bucket, scoop it over, and then just give the rest of regular
Major
maintenance
maintenance, yeah.
to fund the project. Right. And then you're depleted until this bill passes, maybe gives you some more money.
Because, yeah, we've already done, like,
What about the rest of the building?
the rest of the
All locked
building's
down?
already locked down.
Okay.
Yeah, we've already
Okay.
got key fobs on everything. We've got all new door locks inside, and outside.
So are there elements of that I'm just curious on the existing doors and stuff that can be used? Because you look for opportunities, right,
Yes.
with all your funds. You could use regular major maintenance, and then you have your security major maintenance, and then you have your security capital funds.
Right.
Okay. So, but I don't know if something would qualify on the existing building, for
For
instance.
regular major maintenance.
Regular major maintenance, I don't know what would, but I'm just saying.
Well, anything you do that's inside the existing envelope that you're just improving.
Right. That's,
For doors, for instance.
that's
Yeah,
basically what
if you
we
want to
want.
replace doors, existing doors, you can do that with
See,
regular
and then-
maintenance dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then adding like your automatic, your security end of it with the lockdown and all that. We're gonna go Raptor
Okay.
and for our visitor management system, and then we're gonna put in a pass-through window from the vestibule to the office, so they can kind of.
So to piggyback up what Troy's saying, the ultimate goal is to get off this one-time
Yes.
appropriations.
Yes.
So I don't know what your major maintenance balance is, but if you sandbag this money for future needs, it may give you more flexibility. And you use, like Paul was saying, some of your regular major maintenance.
You're talking about sandbagging the 10%?
Yeah,
I
because
got
it
you.
has more
Yeah, that makes sense.
deviation, and the moving
That-
forward, the
that
way
makes
the
sense.
bill's going, this line item here is probably gonna go away. This was just when the market crashed, and they had money, and they
Right.
wanted to throw districts some coin for major maintenance for security.
Okay.
So if you did that method and had a really good bid schedule, Michael
Okay.
probably could help you.
Okay, yep.
You
But
could
anyway.
have some more flexibility down the road.
Yeah, just exploring opportunities and trying to use your money as wisely as
Sure,
possible.
absolutely.
And but the sound of the cost of it, who knows?
I don't know if you have no money.
It might consume the whole thing. The other thing important is make sure your business manager keeps good track of this stuff, because if you overexpend, there's no more, we don't know of any more
Right.
money coming.
Right.
So it's not as if we can just reload it
Now,
or something.
do they have 8% money as well, Troy?
We're going to find out here in just a minute. Good question. But that would qualify, I mean, it would be no different from 10%. You know, now there's no reason, well, here's the deal too. Well, it doesn't matter. 10% or 8%, it has to qualify for the major maintenance definition.
Yeah.
So it has to be.
Right.
So
It has to be a repair or replacement.
replacement, yeah.
It can't be new.
And see,
it
we're
can't be
replacing
outdated.
doors.
Yeah, and
That's-
that absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
Mhm.
So I guess we kind of explained that. Any other discussion on, and just to make sure you guys understand then, that new bill coming through, if that 4.95 million comes through, you're going to have some flexibility if more monies are generated to use it on any of those
Okay,
elements.
so the old money you can't though, it's only the highlighted, right? Okay.
Well, I think that bill says the old money will be grandfathered into flexibility.
That's the way it is
'Cause
written
that's-
right
And
now.
then you can even be more flexible in the 20 elements.
But you're still limited to items that were identified on your assessment as deficiencies. You just
Right.
you can create something new that's not on that list. You have to pick something off of that list.
Right.
But you could put all your money on one item on that list. It's just that you can't create something new.
No, exactly, okay, yep. Because we need some security at the bus barn, for example, we have none over there right now. And that was an area I know we scored low on.
Yeah, and well, the bus barn would not have been included. We only did educational buildings with first security assessment, so.
Okay,
But you can use your 10% security money over there.
Over there.
There's no restriction on what building that can go to.
that's right, because that came in later when they did all the
You
rest
go
of
to
the
the
rest,
priorities.
last time actually, they did the rest of the security.
Oh, up here? Yes.
What are you looking at?
I was trying to find the bill they wrote. It says, except as authorized under subparagraph B of this paragraph, the commission shall only allow expenditures for priorities 1 through 6, 8, and 11 as submitted in 2019 supplemental budget request. I was taking sure.
So in other words, it had to have money identified and generated off of an element, right? Okay, and then what? That's
Yeah,
it.
but it doesn't say all 20 items. It
Yeah.
says the 8.
So I'm concerned that it doesn't, but
They may not have it written correctly.
that's my concern. So we'll have to wait and see.
Because I know being
We'll
at
double
some,
check that one for
Yeah.
to explain it.
some meetings with some other facilities, people, I know that was the problem, was trying to be nice to have it all 20 items.
Totally, and that was the departments, the commission's request,
Right,
I think the select committee, but once it gets to this level,
exactly,
well, then, you know, obviously.
yeah.
Okay, on to capacity. You guys are about 51% full, so you have room. Probably double your students and fit within the capacity calculation. But we have districts regularly tell us that that there's a difference in capacity calculation and the challenges that you have educationally, and we get that. We certainly wouldn't force you to fit in a mold. We just have to have a unified methodology that is applied across state. Enrollment projections, you guys know this. We go 10 years in the past. In these, you just follow a class from 2008 kindergarten to 2009 first grade, and they just stair step down, and that's your survival rates. And then for like your from kindergarten to first, we have the survival rate to the right, and you just take each year's survival rate from a statistical point of view, and you average them for 10 years out, and then it equals your survival rate from kindergarten to first grade. So what that means is over the last 10 years, you've averaged 96% of your students advance to first grade. So 4% are not advancing to first grade. Sometimes in districts, that's because you have a kindergarten program that if the students they find aren't developmentally ready, they won't progress them onto is that your case?
That's exactly it.
Yep. So you're not necessarily losing students, you're just not advancing them to first grade.
We actually have a developmental kindergarten program. So that they're all, like, right now we have 35 kids on the roster as kindergarten, but 10 of them are in the developmental program. So those 10 will go to kindergarten next year, they won't go to first grade. So that'll show that deficit of only 25 moving on instead of 35.
Right.
So they're still here.
They're still
just
here,
not
yeah.
moving at
Right.
the same time.
Yep.
Truth be told, that's probably for two reasons. Number one is maybe their birthday, perhaps,
Yes,
if they're closer to that.
they're younger, and a lot of them we found that right now we only have a Head Start that's very limited for. We have a lot of kids that don't get anything. We're trying to do some things, but right now they don't get any preschool or
Right.
preparation. So it's
Yeah.
kind of gives us an opportunity.
Well, good. First, and then this is, you guys are looking good from first to second. You guys gain students. And then you're pretty well gaining students. This is kind of an interesting one, 115%.
What grade is that? That would be
That
fifth grade.
is fifth grade.
Yeah.
So at fifth grade, you guys are gaining
We have a real
substantial.
big class of fifth graders. Yeah.
That's interesting, but I guess the point is that you're having students come into between fourth and fifth. You're literally having students enter your school district.
Yeah.
Is that because of the?
Oh, there's some construction now
Yeah.
with the
Okay.
guard camp does that, railroad in
Huh?
and out.
Interesting.
There's a lot of,
Okay.
we get kids after Christmas, before Christmas they leave, some leave, we get more kids after
Do
Christmas.
you know anybody that's looking to do investing in homes,
Yeah.
real estate? I mean, they just did a study that said right now there's a need for 165 single-family homes in Guernsey.
In Guernsey.
Almost
Yeah.
300 in Black County.
Come
I mean, if somebody
They're commuting.
in.
Well,
That's-
Google Earth.
yeah, it's crazy. They just did
What's
a-
the demand for?
Well, right now, like for instance, at the guard camp, 400 of the employees at the guard camp live in Goshen County. I just was out there for a meeting and I had no idea, but they said 400 of the employees commute from Goshen County. And the Air Force said they would move 90 families there from Warren that they're busing up there right now that would be required to live in the community with some of the programs. So it's just,
That's from the general.
yeah.
If there was housing.
If there was housing, yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. And these numbers definitely, your survival rates definitely show a community that's growing. I mean, you still are having students come in and being brought in to go to your school. Your survival rates, your sophomore year, we usually see a larger or a greater loss of students. Sophomore, you're not seeing that greater. And then this is about right. I mean, it usually picks up. These 3 years are kind of low, and the senior year actually increases usually because people are trying to get their degree, come back in.
Yeah.
But you guys aren't quite like that. Don't know why, but you're not any lower probably than the average district. But we usually have lower numbers right in here, and then it kind of climbs up to the 96. It might be like 93, 94, 95, and climb up to 96 or 97. So the other interesting thing, we always just like to look at this is, and you can see you guys back 10 years ago were in the teens and kind of came through the teens. And then this last 4 years, 20s and 30s, your average is 20 per year. You're definitely above your average this year. And that might be associated with growth as well as birth rate. And then overall, this is a great number here because you guys, I mean, you were down in the 190s. Most districts are the opposite of this, by the way. 10 years ago, they were kind of at a peak in that 10-year look, and then they've dropped down a lot of districts. But you guys continue to be pretty strong in that mid-200 range. So that's a great thing. That's a good thing. So according to the statistical analysis, it looks like you're going to be at about 600 students by year 2029.
Yeah, somebody built some houses.
There you go.
Some apartments, anything.
But anyway, that's good news and congratulations because you guys are in a very good place. All right, Charlie.
Very good. And so every year, the commission has us prioritize our capacity needs per rule and regulation. High capacity needs are above 100%, medium capacity between 95 and 100%, and then low between 90 and 95% of capacity. And so with that, the biggest change that we had this past year, the commission and the grades K through 3 decided to go back to a restricted capacity program of 16 students in the K3 levels. So that was the biggest change. That's why you'll see a lot of movement up front on the higher priorities. Schools that were close, but then with that change shifted up into the high need. So, but anyways, more for your information, this is where we're at statewide.
So in these numbers up here is what, obviously at the top of the list. And we'll be talking about how we have a different way of prioritizing projects or requests in the future here, and we'll be discussing that. I just said you have sufficient capacity for enrolled students. I'm going to lose my voice. Charter school, you don't have a charter school, so we're good. FCI, the Facility Condition Index, basically the higher the number, thank you. The higher the number, the greater the deferred maintenance. So this is just page 1 of 400 buildings. You're not on anywhere on there. Brandon's scooting up, so I better help him out. So you can see the highest building is there in Sheridan 2, and that's a 0.71. And all that represents is the higher percentages of the deferred maintenance compared to the current replacement value, and it's divided out, and it creates a number, and then we're able to prioritize for based on condition. So going through here, that's educational buildings. This is support buildings. Now, state statute requires us for recommendations to the commission to consider educational buildings, prioritize those before support buildings or ancillary buildings. The challenge with that is when we have $400 or $500 million budgets, we could dip down and reach into, and they would reach into the support buildings. That's not the case anymore. Those available funds are pretty limited. So somehow we're going to have to address in some way, shape, or form. Right now, major maintenance or component level requests is what is going to meet these needs. You guys are looking, you have an excellent building, a 0.13, which is phenomenal. You guys are taking care of your building. It's a good building. It's solid condition-wise, and look at that. It's a 1956 building. So excellent. And I know you guys have had additions and stuff like that but it looks really good. Your support buildings, same thing. They're looking good. So I just said you're continuing to maintain your building with available major maintenance funds. Any comment on that before we go to major maintenance itself?
No, we have, like I say, we have 3 different areas. We have a 50s end, and that was the original school. Then we have a 70s construction. Then we have an 80s construction. So trying to deal with all 3 of those construction materials sometimes is a challenge. We have wiring in the 56 section.
Some are more challenging than others. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we get that.
Work.
We just thought it was just perfect all the way across.
Yeah.
The entire building.
No. It's kind of like when you build your own house, you see everything that nobody else can see.
Oh, yeah. And you pointed out to everybody comes in. Now, don't look at that.
Don't look at that.
I wouldn't even have seen
Look
that.
where I smoked was I going that day.
Major maintenance here, basically there's a definition of what major maintenance is and how it relates to facility planning. We always have you guys update your statuses in our AIM database, just keeping the AIM database up to date. We ask you to report your work orders through your project manager, and he approves it according to their qualifications, so we appreciate you doing that each year. And then this has got back down to Michael. They do not have 8%, just 10%. And 10% enhancement, just remind everybody, it has to qualify just like any other major maintenance project for definition of what major maintenance is, replacement or repair. But it can be used on things that don't, like your track service, things that aren't covered within the adequacy standards to be covered under regular major maintenance. Now that I think about that, I think they changed that. They can use regular major maintenance now on track services.
Yes, they can.
But
yeah, they changed that
before,
right after we did it.
yeah, before they couldn't.
Yeah, really?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, they did. We paid for the surface, and then I think a year or 2 after.
Isn't that a bummer?
The launch?
Yeah.
I think it was less.
Yep.
Les got a lawsuit, I think.
So, but anyway, like field lights, teacherages.
Yeah.
That's what that 10% is allowed for.
Did you do your field lights?
What's that?
Did you have field lights?
We did.
I remember that.
We did them. Yeah.
So great opportunity there. We just try to give this illustratively just last year's priorities.
It's interesting.
So we're not trying to, we don't have to necessarily discuss it, but it just shows your highest
Sure.
expenditure. Obviously, play is important in your district.
My son would like your priority.
Like,
Oh. That's where your party should be.
Yeah.
He's in second grade. The playground needs to be the best. So.
Yeah.
We got a good one too.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, we do.
So when legislators ask for this, we'll just say they're just playing around.
Yeah, we're just playing
That's all
around.
they're doing.
So
But anyway,
come try our zip line.
So what's the status of your roof right now? Because you guys did a spray on, right?
Yes,
And are you now seeking
we're looking to recoat, starting.
recoat?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have people there. They just show up and they go inspect the roof. You know, the warranty's as good as the company behind it.
Yeah.
And they just show up with a ladder on them. They check the roof about probably every 3 months.
Still in the warranty, what, 20 years or 18 years?
20 years. Yep. We have roofs that are probably a little over that, maybe approaching that 20-year, and so that's where we'll start our recoat from that end.
Didn't you do another one of your ancillary buildings too?
Yeah, we did a shop, the auto shop grounds building.
Yeah.
We did.
And that's worked out well?
Oh, it worked out well. Give us some insulation.
Nice.
Easier to heat the building. And yeah, all the leaks are gone.
so that's just a snapshot, and then obviously we just break it down by building, and obviously have 1K12, so it has the majority of expenditures. This is really important because we constantly have legislators asking us, are these people spending money on their lowest scores, their biggest needs with major maintenance? And it's sometimes a mixed bag, but for you guys, we actually, the ones, number one would represent failure, number two is poor,
Yes.
number three is good. But we had to pick on you. We had to bring in threes because you had so little twos
Yes.
that we just had to challenge you to keep going. But this is really important because if a legislator ever asks for your district, you know, what's their priorities and how are they dealing with their low scoring systems, we just give them this.
Uh-huh.
You speak for yourself, and so we emphasize that in when we do a webinar to you guys. Say, you represent your district and tell legislators what's going on. And it's rare that we get that request, but at least it's there and you can speak for yourself, and it looks like you guys are, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you guys are probably the most thorough out of a lot of districts are not as thorough as you guys are.
Thank
And I
you so
appreciate
much.
that.
Thank you for your help, too, Amber.
Yeah, but I'm really concerned about this lighting and branch wiring that has no comment whatsoever. It's only in good condition. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, here's the scale.
What's going on there anyway?
Nothing going on there.
Well, go back to that again. You were talking about your electrical. Do they have any notes in there?
That's their groundskeeper building.
Yeah, that's groundskeep. Go up to the school. Does it say anything on electrical service and distribution? Yeah, it's got over $250,000, 269. Electrical breaker boxes in the old high school area. Yeah, so they recognize.
They
the same
did.
thing
They had a side note, and we're plugging away at getting those replaced.
replacing them kind of panel at a time, kind of thing.
Yeah, we had a panel on the bus barn that was like almost it was a two heading toward the one that's been replaced.
Yeah.
Like that. But yeah, we have some of those old push button breakers that can't hardly afford to buy them anymore. But
Yeah. Well, if you work at them,
But we're plugging away at 'em.
That's great.
yeah.
As long as you don't have any aluminum wiring, do you have?
Ooh, no aluminum wire.
Okay.
Thank God. No. Yeah.
When I was
Even
in-
the 50 cent is the cloth
Oh,
wound copper.
Yeah.
So, but
well,
that's our biggest
Work
end.
away at it as you can.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in high school, they had a breaker box in the gymnasium, and that was the light switch.
That's
And I never thought of anything different. Did you have that too?
we had that too. And we just had the switches, the light
Yeah.
switches pulled out from the breaker box. We can lock that breaker box now.
I see.
We
Yeah.
had kids
yeah.
turning off security systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
Heaters,
Got it.
everything. You know,
Not
so-
malicious, just hitting the
No,
wrong
they're
one.
just hitting the
right?
wrong one.
The lights
Dark,
went off,
yeah. So that's been, we just finished that over the past summer, got that fixed up.
Okay, then we are coming every 4 years. It's required by state law that we assess buildings. So we're going to be developing that this summer. Go out and do our scope and look for a professional service provider to do that. Go out to each building in the state. And then that's going to follow through. But next April, a year from now, a little over a year from now, we're going to have training for the districts. And I don't know if you were able to attend one in Casper last time.
I did. Well,
Good.
no, I missed that one last
Did
time.
you?
I did, but I watched There was something where I went back and was able to catch some of it.
Do it. I wonder if we did do a go-to meeting there. But anyway, but we usually do it in Casper. It's only 4 hours during the day, so you get like starting at 10 and ending at 2 or something. And basically, what we try to do is provide districts the opportunity to review the tool that's used to assess the buildings, the importance of that tool, how it's is used, and then the importance of districts to attend those assessors when they're on site, because we want the best qualified person to walk with them through the buildings. Because if they don't, they're going to miss some things.
Yes.
And so it's really important. So we do encourage you greatly to attend those, and then to accompany those assessors when they're on site to all the buildings. And we've had districts, and it's not the best thing. They hand keys and go, hey, have fun.
No,
See us back next time.
we had
I can
good,
ask if you walk through, and then do you do quality control to double check and verify? and
yeah,
all that?
I was able to walk through his last assessor. He was good. He was good, and then pointed out some things like doors in our 50s, interior doors on our 50s, and it's terrible. The doors in A70s and 80s are fine, So he was able to put a footnote in there and things like that. So
Good.
yeah, I like that. It's important that the
Is that
district has
TR?
somebody go with them. Definitely.
Was that T.R. Hernacki? Did he do that?
Yeah, that's
Hernacki?
it. Mhm.
Yeah, he's pretty sharp.
Yeah. It was.
Wow. Yeah, I've kind of shadowed him at times. Component projects, you guys had, I think, 2 requests. It's kind of interesting because on average, Brandon, we go down maybe what, 10 million, maybe?
The last 2 years, it was 19 and 20.
Okay.
And then before that, I just gave a report to the legislature. It was down in the 6. It was 4 to 6. And then we did the major maintenance study last year, and through trying to transition, we said, look, we need more money in major maintenance. And they started funding it higher at the component level. So hopefully, we'll see this year. When we've been talking to them, there's a bill that increases the major maintenance, the CRV, from 2 to 2.5, and the ultimate goal is to just fund it through major maintenance instead of funding it through here. I mean, really, this is a shell game. If you don't fund it here, you're going to fund it there. And if you don't fund any of it, it's going to go to emergency.
Right.
So we showed them our financials on emergency pull, component requesting, to hopefully just get the major maintenance raised. Last 2 years is around 20, and then before that, dropped down to 10.
So for you guys, and there's a district, and you know this, we've asked for 4 superintendents, 4 business managers, and 4 facilities directors. Sometimes we don't get that exact mix, but they're the ones that prioritize these, receive them all, score them independently, and then we met in Casper.
I was going to say, he volunteered for the next go round.
Oh, good. Thank you so much. We'll use you like crazy. But the nice thing about that is when you start, if you're on that committee, I mean, to be honest with you, you're competing with other districts for funds. That's what you're doing.
Sure. I'm sorry.
So the blessing of that is you get to see everybody's, you get to see how people present things, make their case and stuff. And we appreciate your help because we're all prioritizing and yours only one of 12 scores.
Yeah, I think it'd be
But
interesting.
yeah, but it's also an opportunity to see what other demands are in other districts. And maybe a lot of times it allows you to maybe focus your requests on certain systems that seem to float to the top. Roofs are a good example. And roofs frequently float to the top.
Yes.
But there's other things as well.
Yeah.
At any rate, well, you guys are number 20 here, so we'd have to go down to 32 million. We're just being honest with you.
Sure.
That's
No, yeah,
questionable.
Yeah.
And then your bus barn roof too, and you had a roof there. And I don't know if it was a dollar amount or whatever, but they all go through and score it, and that's where it broke out. So thank you for
that's
doing
something
that.
we may have to do some major maintenance too, that bus barn roof.
It's amazing. Some of these are in the 4 million.
I thought I had it off. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So this is now, there we go. So you PMs, if you'll read this and respond to it, please.
Yes, so they have a desire for a capital project.
So it's civil work. Good parking lot.
Well, it's an existing parking area, right?
But what it is, when Mr. Beard got to town, he found out that where our bus drop-off is in the main highway, and we've had so much construction in town and out south on the oil tanks, that kids were getting let off in front of the school, and we've had so many near misses with, you could probably speak.
military,
Yeah.
oil workers. I mean, it's right there next to the football field we had our elementary kids, for some reason,
For years.
they come out the indoors and out the gates, and that's where the parents picked them up on both sides of the street. So the first week I was there, I'm looking out the window, and we got little kids darting back and forth.
From the football field to
Yeah,
the school.
yeah, and you've got parents, parked on both sides of the street. You've got guard camp people getting off work at 3:30. You've got, a lot of the oil workers coming through town with those big trucks. It was just a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
So we rerouted our pickup and drop off behind the building to a door that leads into our multi-purpose room. And none of that is presently, well, none of it. There's a small section that's paved. The rest of it is dirt and
Mud.
Mud.
It has drainage problems and things like
yeah,
that.
So when we get snow and we get water, it all accumulates right there. And of course, the water turns to ice. And
So really what you guys need is a capital project that is civil.
yeah, so look right there. If you look right there to where the football field is, where that crosswalk, about right there. If you go down towards the little bit that's where the gate is, right there, coming off the playground. So originally, all these little guys were coming out that gate, and they were darting back and forth across that.
Right here.
You can go.
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
that's
right
where.
there.
And it was, I tell you, I'm
Pull that
shocked
over
at-
into the street view.
so if you go, so that's where. Oh,
Well, look at that. Wow.
yeah, now imagine 175 little kids bouncing back and forth across
There you
that
go.
street there, coming out of that playground.
Right there on that
Yeah,
corner.
that
Yeah.
corner right there, yeah.
And then south of town, you have the oil, where all the oil workers are right now, and that's where the guard camp gate is.
And the,
that
yeah,
lets
the
in
guard
and
camp
out.
exit gate is just south of there as well.
And
So,
that's the street they use.
yeah,
So we went across the playground
on the other
The
side.
on the other side
Pick up the kids.
to
you
pick
know,
up the
wait
kids
for-
behind the
drive
building
in.
in our own driveway.
Yeah, kind of should have done there.
Right over yonder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see a little track.
Yep.
So
Right
now
there.
we've made that where
Those
at the
domes.
very top there, that used to be all
Yeah.
concrete. So we cut that concrete out, and where those cars are parked, they're no longer parked there. So that's actually a bus loop. They come in down there by the baseball field. Yep.
And there.
And come up there, yep.
That's
the
all
bus-
dirt road in
That's all
there.
dirt road. You can see just a little bit of asphalt there. So
But
now our
the-
buses go out of that. We cut that concrete out.
And then you took those barricades, is that
Yeah,
what
we
those
took
are?
that out. We put a gate there where the buses can exit.
Yep.
There, so it's a straight through. But up here on the right side is where all the water sits.
And right there where the writing is, it says Guernsey Sunrise. That's a low spot. So
So
anytime.
we have ice and
Oh,
water
wow.
set right
Yeah,
there
we get
where
about-
the kids walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. This is
Look at that
good.
nice
And that's the
little
student parking lot that I'd like to see us pave also.
There's the bus loop.
Yep. They come out of there. So, like I said,
Almost looks like sometimes they come out kind of fast.
Yeah, well, they're kids,
Yeah,
so
look
they-
at
Oh, they're
the-
slamming on the brakes to slow down, that's what it is.
Exactly.
Look at the
Yeah,
little run
right
right
there.
there.
Yeah, right there. That
So
was Brandon when he was a teenager.
so that's the student parking lot. And on the other side of that, the parking lot is the bus drop off and pickup area.
So now we get parents that come in there and they line up on both sides and pick up, and we're able to circle them out. It's a lot safer, but
Oh,
this time of year.
Organized chaos.
so the buses are here, what you're saying?
The buses are over by
The
the
other side.
lunchroom. Yeah, on
Yeah,
the
on the
other
other side,
side.
Oh,
they use
okay.
where that barrier is.
Got it, okay, got it.
So,
And then they drive through, all the way through and exit out here, yes.
So funding sources, major maintenance, because there's a subsurface, right, existing surface.
Yeah, they could put in another aggregate base, and they could improve it with major maintenance, but they couldn't go so far as to pave it, though. Major maintenance wouldn't fund
Or
that.
putting in a storm sewer or adding lighting.
Right.
So it sounds like it's a component project.
Well, but component still has to technically qualify for major maintenance.
For-
This is a capital project.
Storm sewer and lighting.
The only one I would want to compare this to would be what they did at Teton Bluff.
Under a bus.
Yeah.
Probably they ponied up most of our money.
Well,
We got
part-
some.
we did the bus, I guess they did the rest of it.
Yeah, I think Can't remember what fund that was.
Was
It wasn't the rec mill, was it? Surely not.
Oh, their end of it?
Yeah.
No, it was probably some donor.
So you got major maintenance funds, component funding source, and the capital is gonna be clunky because of the new process, right? So you have condition, capacity, suitability, and then I guess we have other.
And we currently really don't have a funding mechanism in this segment right now.
Doesn't have capacity issue.
But it's clear what the need is, but it's just, we just don't have a category to put it into to follow it through.
However, though, just log it and think about
It
it.
did
Yeah.
score a 2 on our assessment.
So
The drainage,
Drainage?
Drainage.
for drainage, just so you know.
Well, that's getting you partway there,
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it.
which means that piece of it could definitely be a component project.
Yeah.
So,
Because that component's got scored.
yeah,
Okay, so it meets the component requirements.
for that piece.
For that piece. Interesting.
But
Could you stretch it so far as to say that a solution would include the storm sewer?
well, I can see where the solution to the drainage problem could at least include a curb and gutter. So again, you're getting closer. If
Yes.
you put a curb and gutter in, you regrade it, you put some subsurface
Based on-
drainage into it, put that together as a package and put that in as a component, at least
Okay.
that would get you,
This is
know,
what I need to know,
50% of the
because
way
I'm,
there.
It's not gonna cover lights, fancy stuff.
Well, there are some lights back there, right? Or
Wouldn't
there
that be security though? I mean, we have
Well, you
lights.
could use if you've got that kind of money, but you didn't have that kind of money.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, you didn't have that kind of money.
Because there's like 2 lights in that whole area, and it's, yeah.
Well, that's all it takes, because you could, well,
He's got a light bulb on
He
his
can
Yeah,
still
you gotta get,
He's like,
he's one of
hey,
those, yeah.
you can use regular major maintenance if it's a light
Mhm.
and replace the inadequate lights with
Yeah,
modern
sure,
lights.
sure.
So the lights, maybe you could get that with major maintenance. Work with the
Yeah.
project manager, so maybe you could get the lighting part done. The drainage part, again, you could take it out of your major maintenance, but that seems like one that's really ideal for a component project.
Cause
Yeah,
it's big
that-
dollar.
Yeah, because it
Our
could be a
balance
lot
is
of
like
dollars.
500,000 now. Let's,
Oh, you could burn that all up on that.
oh, exactly.
On one project.
Yeah. So I think preparing, because the next time we'll take requests for components is 2020,
Right.
and be ready at that time with your project.
Yeah. I've got a lot of the information gathered together.
Get a consultant to work with you, create, just an outline of what the work is and an engineer's estimate, and that's really what you need to submit on that component end of it. And then the beautiful thing is you've got photographs that your peers can look at and go, oh my gosh, really? You're dropping kids off there? So use that to your advantage.
Yeah.
Put something in there that your peers are gonna look at and go, yeah, that's terrible. You need to improve that. So I think I'd be working towards 2020 to see if you can
Yeah, that's my plan.
put something together and
Component and major maintenance funding. And
Yeah.
save up your
Appreciate
major
your
maintenance
help.
anticipation for that.
yeah.
We'll keep going. At least do the drainage and the,
Well, drainage, curb and gutter, subsurface stuff.
That's a
I
big
think
part
that's
of it,
I think that's all. And I don't have an avenue for your paving
right,
yet.
right.
Something we can keep looking at.
In conjunction with that assessment, we said statewide assessment, we're going to also be updating your space usages within the building so that you change purposes and
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
Well, it'll be categorized correctly for
Sure.
major maintenance calculation.
Okay,
Okay, good discussion.
Thank you.
Really good
Very
discussion.
very good.
So we expect Brandon to read this. Is that too big for you? Is that like that? So what happened was about a year ago, we started thinking about what we're presenting these facility plan meetings. And we know that through the WASBO Wasco, right?
Yeah.
Website, you guys have a really good tracking mechanism. Someone's tracking educational bills for you and helps keep you up to date. And you can be involved. What districts usually don't do is track all the other stuff on the facility side. So we thought we'd throw this in, and it just is an opportunity for you to know what's latest going on. This is not up to date. This was as of Friday. More things, you know how it is with legislature, right? Every minute something changes. So, but this is a snapshot, and we'll let Brandon kind of lead you through this.
So the first one here is the major maintenance multiplier. As I mentioned briefly, we're trying to get more money in major maintenance. This is doing it. So far, it's made it through the House. It goes 2 to 2.5%. So that would take effect not this biennium or not this payment, but next year. So a little increase there. Public works contracts. It's really about FF&E. So they want to, if you're going to buy any furniture, desk, chairs, you'd have to write your specs for a Wyoming vendor only. So they want to try to keep it local. And the reason why is it's a unique model. It's like the licensing authorization of the supply chain is very limited and barriers to entry. So they want to keep, there's only a couple Wyoming folks, but they always get shut out. They want to try to keep it in. Procurement amendments, this one might be a great thing for you. Bonding amount, it's currently at $7,500, goes to $50,000. You know, trying to get more locals, guys that can bond projects on some of these smaller stuff. Procurement, all this stuff's super dated. Get that to $50,000. Right now it's $25,000 on the procurement policy. School district construction, your 21.3110 talks about up to 25. Get that to $50,000.
Gotcha.
You know, because $50,000 on construction roll is not a lot of money.
No.
So all these dollars, they've got to increase the values. And then advertisement, they want it 2 weeks across the state as a whole, so everybody sells an opportunity.
Sure.
The major maintenance payment, this one, since your major maintenance payment is not huge, the House Bill 78, it would give you quarterly payments. So if it goes into effect this next year, you're going to get a full process. July you'll get 75, September you get 25. Be conservative going forward, because then you're going to start getting quarterly payments after that year's up, and you'll be in a quarterly payment cycle. So it'll have an impact on your cash flow.
No, it's actually
Interfund loans, House Bill 79, that's just how they're moving money between coffee cans. House Bill 80 is the supplemental budget, and I'll go through that. So it's in House Bill 80, it's also in House Bill 1. So they've got it in 2 different places. 94, indemnifications. I'm going to rewrite an indemnification clause so the contractors and the owner, everybody takes responsible for their errors or mess ups. Final payments, House Bill 108. So you currently have to do the advertisement for 41 days and all that. Now it would just go on your website. And you post it on the job as well, and trying to get, 2019 using technology and stuff. So times are changing. Underground, if you're doing any civil work, there's some changes there. If somebody hits a utility, it's $5,000 instead of, I think it's like $500. What people were doing is they were just blowing. It was cheaper for them to blow through the utilities than it was to call in the one call and do all that. So they were just blowing and going with these big excavators and oil fields and stuff. So they said, okay, we're stopping that.
Yeah.
Private schools, I don't know if you got any, but if you do, they're trying to make them equal if you have a private school versus the stuff we deal with. Contract laborers, there's some stuff about unions. I don't know if you've worked with them. Public records, essentially it was written that you get a felony if you don't get it out within 10 days. And now it's up to like 30 days. They amended it, went to committee, and they took away the felony.
Good.
Which is great.
You'll appreciate that.
That's right.
In about 3 weeks, trust me.
Public record, about school safety and security. They want WDE and Constellation Homeland Security, AG's office, State Fire Marshal, and us. WDE would head up a security guideline, and then school districts would have to comply and create their own security guidelines at their level for each school. So I don't know if you guys have one already. Do you guys have one? Mm-hmm. Cool. That's what a lot of schools that testify. So we already have this. What's the point?
We use the SRP and it's a standard response protocol.
Yep.
and actually have a MOU with the guard camp for reunification or having to move kids if we ever get to a point where.
Nice.
So we got a pretty good.
So you're already ahead of it. And a lot of districts sound like they were. So I don't know why they want just to raise the bar, maybe, always improve.
But just out of curiosity on that, with that camp, is there any coordination between you have a local police station, or is there any coordination between them and the camp at all with regard to emergency response?
Yeah, and that's what was nice about the SRP is that everybody's on the same, uses the same language between the school district, the guard camp, the police, the sheriff's department.
Oh, wow.
So now we're all on the same page.
Oh, that's good.
'Cause they found, and if God forbid something happens, you get 4 or 5 different agencies, and they're speaking different languages, and this is by working together, and we brought it to them because we adopted the SRP program, which came out of John Michael Keyes, who lost his daughter in Clear Creek, there in Colorado, and that's what they found when that happened was that there were so many different agencies and nobody was speaking the same language. So so now we're all together. So the police department, sheriff, the volunteer fire department, the guard camp, we're all on the same page in case something is to happen. So yeah, and same thing if something was to happen. The guard camp just did an exercise where they had an internal active shooter training disgruntled employee, and so we were able to work with them on our end of it when something was happening there. So as far as going into a lockdown, and so we're all on the same page, which makes it nice.
Yeah.
How often do you guys practice or test it?
Quite a bit. It
Quite
seems
a
like.
bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Quarterly?
Yeah, we do, we try to do, we do lockout drills and get kids off the playground, those types of things more than we do, when you do a lockdown drill within your building, when you go in there and say, okay, you got to secure the classrooms, move little kids out of sight and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of, that's traumatizing for an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So you don't.
You don't do that.
Our teachers know what to do. We work with our staff.
There you go.
More than we do our kids, because like I said, we've done it. The couple of that we've done, and when you go through and you got to check the building and stuff to make it. That's even though it's a drill, it's an eerie feeling when you're trying to get kids out of sight, doors locked, and heads covered. So we work with our staff. We're with our staff pretty regular.
But I would think too, when you're next to a military base and a lot of those children are at that school, if something happens at a school, you better be coordinated.
Oh yeah.
Because dad or mom's coming off the base, and they probably have a firearm.
Oh yeah. No, you're right, exactly. I mean, there's been times when.
And they're trained.
When we've gone into a lockout or something like that, and in the world of cell phones and social media, that phone starts ringing off the hook immediately, from parents that are across the street about what's happening, what's going on. So
You have had lockdowns?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Real ones?
Yeah.
How much?
Yeah. We've you get.
Every time you're gone, it seems
Yeah. It seems like
Right, how about right now?
Yeah, exactly.
That shows a good system that works, no
exactly.
matter.
We had one a couple years ago. Bizarre thing that the state patrol, the guy coming through town, local cop pulled him over and ran an ID check on him, and for some reason he came up on the terrorist watch list. So called the state patrol, called the guard camp, and boom, so now we're into a lockdown because you got a guy coming through town in a vehicle, on state plates, came up on the terrorist. It turned out to be, it wasn't what they thought it was, but I mean, it's amazing how fast before things got sorted out.
Sure.
And then you get, of course, like I said, the word gets out, and then the calls start coming in, you're under a terrorist attack. What are you doing?
And the guy's kind of like, why are all the helicopters coming in?
Exactly.
What's that tank coming down the street?
Exactly, yeah.
Because you didn't pay his taxes or something.
Plates are expired.
Yeah.
You were speeding 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, and this is a small town, we care.
This is how we do you town.
Okay, continue on. Sorry, I got excited.
No, it's interesting that you guys talk about this because it seems like a lot of school districts are actually above and they're already rolling on this. So I don't know the intent. Something's behind it.
Yeah, and I don't. I know that we went to that security. Was it last spring or last fall here in Cheyenne?
LCCC.
Yeah.
And there was a senator there from Cheyenne that was banging her drum pretty hard about this.
Yeah. She's the one
Sponsoring it.
And she's hardcore on security.
Kind of tell you the irony of that is a year ago, I sat right in a room talking about school funding. she voted in this committee meeting to cut school funding, a lot of which was tied to
This.
I mean, it's kind of like, and now all of a sudden it's an issue. I mean, a year ago when you were looking at it and you're voting, within this committee to, I think it was the big bill where they're going to cut all the $30 million, and she was right part of that committee. So, the rest is, yeah.
Cut there, out here.
Yeah, no.
That's
so-
called, yeah, that's called
Yeah,
politics.
oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Let's see, Senate File 74. This is, as you probably are aware, they've always been trying to attach preference to architects. They've never really, on the construction side, it's pretty rigid, 5% and all that crap. But here they haven't done it, so they're looking at an A&E firm has a physical office in Wyoming, and 50% of the work has to be performed by Wyoming people in-house and all that to keep it local. So if you do procurement, at least some of the big stuff, we're going to have to redo our procurement documents to comply with that. Once again, trying to keep things local.
That's all good to say, but when there's a boom, we got little districts that can't get anybody.
Yeah, we couldn't get much. We had nobody even,
So,
nobody bid on our project. Nobody wanted to make $300,000.
From doing this as long as I have, that's the rub I have is they have these bills that want the preference, but then we put out projects and nobody sometimes
know.
doesn't even show up. So I'm
Right.
like, what the hell?
I made phone calls to
Yeah.
people saying, come and bid this thing.
And we had
Yeah.
even someone demanding to refine our VE process. So we go and we do it, and
Yeah, and nobody shows up.
then we have security projects, nobody shows up.
Yeah, we did the track in Laramie or the floor, and nobody showed up for that. We did a well in Sweetwater or something. I remember nobody showed up for that. So there's several of
Because
them.
it's
People-
crazy.
Yeah.
Was taking all kind of calls, knowing that we were gonna get a room full.
Well, my concern is like, I know, for example, the northeast corner of the state, almost everybody's coming out of Rapid to serve them. You go up to the north end of the basin, everybody's coming down from Montana to serve them. All of a sudden, we're gonna build a Trump wall between the two?
Right.
Really?
That's gonna be.
Oh, the last one that I was involved with, we had one out of Montana and one out of Colorado that bid on it.
Really? No,
So-
Wyoming.
Nobody,
Yeah.
So
So,
if somebody from Scotts Bluff would have bid on it, we'd have loved to have it.
yeah,
Exactly.
because you need the service.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, yeah.
Just tell them to wear their red Nebraska.
Yeah.
Brown when you're over here.
That's right. Leave it at the gate.
Joint resolution, that's exchanging of federal lands and stuff, so it doesn't really apply.
It actually, you're talking SJ?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually looked at that one a little more carefully yesterday. What they're trying to do is they're trying to exchange landlocked state properties and exchange those in such a way that they can get more revenues from those for the schools. So it's actual
So they're
revenue.
trying to petition Congress for that piece
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
kind of a revenue,
money.
an attempt to generate revenue through state lands.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting.
they want to swap out 100,000 acres is what they said between the two to make it more accessible. So it's an interesting bill.
Senate File 103, state capital construction. So we have the select committee that we report to, but now, since we're the state construction department, it would be the select committee on school facilities and state construction. So they're gonna, as we evolve and mature, it's really becoming, we're just one company or agency pretty much, and one committee we report to, is where it's at. So that bill creates that broader oversight.
That's going to create an interesting mix of senators and representatives.
Yeah,
Because
it's
all of a
big.
sudden-
It's like 10 people and
All of a sudden, I mean, that's pretty well the capital program for the state of Wyoming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
so it's
the
going to
name
be
of that
significant.
committee?
Select Committee on School Facilities and State Construction. Yeah.
So they'll still have the commission, the School Facilities Commission, do its thing and make recommendations, and the State Building Commission, which is chaired by the governor, make recommendations for state buildings. And then,
And then
Joint
one
committee.
big committee made up of all
To look
the
at
who's who in the legislature to filter everything. So there's, it's pretty good. I think pros and cons. We'll see. So we'll see what they do with the projects, because on the state side, there's, I think, more politics. Our stuff, some school side's pretty formatting,
Right,
rigid,
right.
process driven. There, it's like connections. Stuff shows up in bills. You're like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
So, procurement pricing. Let's see. Oh, this is another one about divvying up the work. You got to look at the most recent projects that people have done, how much money they've gotten, and distribution of the project. So if you keep giving to firm A, you want it to be dispersed among other people.
So it may not necessarily be qualifications based. It'll be more of equitability based on an economic.
One of the
consideration.
criteria is, yeah, in awarding the projects. So, let's see, this Constitution one, this is, they're trying to get school districts to pay for everything through bonds instead of coming through the state. So, the Campbell rulings and all that, it would essentially put it out to the voters to re-vote on that and see if the local area wants to pay for everything.
Yeah, we'd never have anything built.
Right.
No, it would.
And that's one of the problems in Wyoming, it just doesn't, the model. There.
Yeah, we put it out for a vote. If it was 100%, it wouldn't garner enough to
get it.
Yeah.
This is round two. This is the second time it's been presented. It's somewhat questionable whether we're getting support.
Yeah.
Then the other thing, so the budget we have here, everything so far, Satellite High School, Sweetwater's going through. John C. Schiffer's funded. It's in the bill. It's not funded. Sheridan too. There's a modular reappropriation. So sometimes we have existing funds. We take those and they reappropriate them. So they had 3 modulars, reappropriate them, they get to clean up and get another modular. We have a charter school lease in Albany. Unanticipated, the commission has access to in case something goes south. Security projects, that's the 4.9 that you could benefit from there if it comes through. And then major maintenance, you'd benefit from that too. When we ran the calculations, the RS means number went up by about $6 and change, so it added more money to the liability there. And then there's another charter school that's here in Laramie one. And that is all that we submitted through the select committee, or this commission, select committee, and joint appropriations. And the only thing that's been added thus far is they have another $750,000 for a facial recognition software for security. That would be a pilot program to school districts. So the school districts would apply to the commission before June 1st, 2019 and receive essentially like a grant program of $55,000 to test this model. Now, I don't know what 55 grand will get in facial recognition software, but once again, security is of the pretty important. So,
But the nice thing about these guys is they have a single educational building.
one entrance.
Yeah.
So 55,000 maybe. So anyway, think about that.
Yeah.
And because it's an opportunity.
When are you doing your vestibule?
Yesterday.
You already did it.
No.
Soon, we're hoping.
Hoping soon, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be a single entrance for
One place.
the entire K-12. Yep.
So technically, that model would work.
Yeah.
This statute fits your model better than most,
Right.
campus,
Yeah.
20 buildings
Exactly.
spread all over town. This one, you could really test the model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it
Yeah.
passes, this bill has to be effective immediately because June 1st is like pronto, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it is.
And what's the reference again?
It's in House Bill 1, page 78, paragraph B, lines 9 through 16.
Okay. Anyway, just for you guys to look at, and maybe you can get ahead of the game and maybe prepare to think about that.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to beat Charlie because he's gonna be your.
Hey, come on.
Is he already?
busy?
He's already got the grant paper.
He's gonna be busy, trust me.
Yeah.
You got, yeah.
I think I broke it out. If
What's
it's
that
only
now?
$750,000.
Yeah.
If you break it out by 55,000, there'd only be about 13 and a half districts that could apply for it.
Does that say first come, first served?
Says the commission shall submit application or The districts, it says school districts shall submit applications to the School Facilities Commission no later than June 1st, 2019 for pilot programs for school year 1920. The maximum award under this subparagraph to any individual school shall not exceed $55,000.
So
Yeah.
maybe not only saying, asking for it, but why is it that your community would be maybe a good place to pilot this?
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
some
we should
unique
have,
security challenges, or who
the
knows?
commission's gonna have some set of criteria in which they determine, because Amber said is it first come, first serve? Is it, hey, their model works best because there's one building?
Or have you
Well,
already
right.
had a great
Justification.
established model that you work within your security that's already established to integrate this into?
Yeah,
I almost wonder if it would be, so I'm thinking practically on our side, right? I mean, we could get 30, 40, 50 page requests.
yeah.
I almost wonder if we need to put together a template.
Well, I'm thinking so.
And then let them respond and have specific questions and sections so that it's comparable to one
Right.
another instead of,
Yeah.
it would be really hard
He
to
writes a
evaluate.
300-page document. puts
Pictures.
Together, one liner.
Tear stains
money.
on the document itself.
Right. With some perfume on it.
Okay, hey, quit giving
You want me
Charlie
to write a
these
300-page
ideas.
document? I don't do anything as it is. That's what they said.
That's right.
So keep this in mind. If it
Yeah,
passes,
yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you.
55 grand and try it, who knows?
That's
Yeah.
good. I'm sure there'll be a director's memo come out on that.
On a lot of this.
You can
stuff.
bet on it.
A lot of big changes.
So, okay, good stuff. Anything else, Brandon?
No, I mean, you guys following most of these construction and all that stuff?
Mhm.
Yeah. What's your thought on the procurement one?
I think I'd like to see the figures go up.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'd say 25,000 is nothing, more 50,000.
A lot of
As far as
dated.
construction goes.
Yeah. And a $7,500 bond. Do you have locals that could really?
We have some locals that could
Help
benefit
them out.
from that, yeah. Yeah, we do.
So biennial budget requests, we're required by state statute to prepare and make requests no later in September of each year to the commission, or the commission, I should say, over to the select committee. So with that, there's a couple things that we want to tell you, and I always ask this question, and maybe I'll ask that first. Well, no, I'll do it second. So, we have for a number of years, we've had quite a few years, we've given the commission and pass on to the select committee a capacity list, the one we showed you statewide, and they've prioritized requests based on that, and then percentage-wise on capacity, and then one for condition. And then if a project anywhere on those was appropriate money, it also included dealing with educational suitability as you dealt with the capacity or condition issue. So that's not the rules of engagement now. The SFC rules and regulations are following state statute, and basically the condition itself will be worth 50%. So every building has 3 columns. 4 columns really. 50% weighting will go to condition. The 35% of the building score will go to capacity, and then 15% of the weighting will go to educational suitability. And then it'll create, give or take, we might have one more column in there, then it'll create a composite score. And then those will be ranked across states. So no longer are we just isolating condition as a criteria to make requests or capacity, but we're putting all of them together, and then all of those are basically funneling out a list that is justification for us then to make recommendations to commission and commission to the select committee. So that's what's going on. The educational suitability assessment was actually done 10 years ago, or not 10 years ago, about 8 years ago. In 2010 it was finalized, and so it's dated. And it's not all buildings. Your building, I'm confident, was done, but we have other buildings that there's major additions or major renovations or brand new buildings and other buildings demolished. We don't have scores on those. So we're sitting there with, we have a challenge, right? That's what our rules say. This is where we're at. So we're going to be working on that as hard as we can. We recognize it's not going to be a perfect answer. And then the other thing with that is that most likely we're going to be going back to the legislature and asking for additional money so that we can actually go out and update a educational suitability tool and invite districts to have input on that. And go through a process that's very transparent and understanding and inclusive of collaboration with districts statewide, and come up with a tool that we hope will be as best of a representation of educational suitability as possible. And you know this as a superintendent. I mean, if you're in a school district with 3 different building administrators, they're going to have 3 different opinions of what's suitable for them. And so it's going to be a challenge, but we need to update that and then come back out with every school building that's being assessed for condition or has capacity, of course, needs to have an updated educational suitability score. So it's going to be a rough couple of years here moving forward, but we're confident we'll accomplish what we need to and do the best with what we have now. Anything else on that, Brendan?
Did you guys attend the Cody commission meeting, the workshop about the design, or not?
Rules changes.
Rules and regs and all that? Because out of all the rules and regs, that's all they cared about. So I always want to know, did they know the exact details of the formula? You know, they just said, well, consider it. And they wanted this chapter back in there, and I was like, man. Because the problem from a funding and going to get capital funds is now we can't say just capacity or condition. Now we got to do this mixture, conglomerate thing, and it could shuffle things. So
not could, it will.
Or yeah, wow.
There's no
like,
doubt.
man.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And the other problem is, you know, we got this parking lot and all that. To follow this, it doesn't give us maybe as much.
Yeah, if you're doing a parking lot where there's no suitability piece, there's no capacity piece.
Right. See, so that's why I think we were thinking out loud of a mechanism to get to the goal. How do we get there? Working within the parameters we have. So yeah, it's challenges.
I had this brainy idea of it'd be nice to develop like the major maintenance calculation based on ADM, to develop a model where it could produce maybe generate funds for dealing with educational suitability, and then let local school districts decide, at least, and as long as it's facility related, can't do behavioral change, so it'd be nice then to empower school districts to do that, but it's questionable whether or not that would be in the legislature. There's got to be some kind of accountability and prioritization and how, so I don't know, tied with state funds. So how does that work? So we're not quite sure how that works for sure, but it'd be nice to at least entertain the idea and throw it out there and see if there's a way to do that and still tie it to accountability in some way to districts and still tie it to legislature and the state being confident that those monies are really going toward those things that best protect students and provide not only protections but provide the best educational environment for those students. So who knows? So with that, even though you're quite low on condition, you're quite low on capacity, but we asked this question anyway. Do you have, for consideration of the next biennial budget here, do you have any capital project requests that you'd like to list on this facility plan?
Just that whole parking.
Yeah, that's
Student pickup drop-off area.
Okay. And that would qualify for component, but it's too late for a component project. So that, I mean, we can say that here, but it wouldn't qualify for this one because we're already, but you know that. So, but we can certainly say that in here, and I can just say.
Lead, why don't we say district anticipating to submit during the next
round.
next round of component funding requests.
Yeah, and I knew it was
Okay.
You'll have, the architects.
Yeah.
Scope of work.
You already have it drawn?
I do have a drawing and I have the scope, the short scope, but I'll have to work on the scope a little better. I've got,
But a civil drawing?
don't have the civil drawings, but that could be, we can be working on that.
District anticipates to submit a drainage correction, let me do this differently. Component, right?
Yeah.
Component project request for the 2021 to 23, right?
We're in the 21, 22 now.
2023, 24 biennium budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So is it safe to say district
Wait a
has,
minute, Troy,
No.
you would be doing 20
Yeah.
to go to 21, 23.
we're doing 21, 22
Yeah, we're doing 21, 22.
for the next
now.
2 years. So it'd be 23, 24. So
Okay,
good?
Yeah.
We're good? District has no capital requests.
Yeah, because it's a year on. So right now, we're in fiscal year 20. Starting.
I have to do that every time.
It's clunky.
it is clunky because I'm
So
trying.
think of the year we're in. Push
It's always about fiscal years.
Yeah.
So
Okay, we good with that?
And we're doing the 21, 22 budget right now. So
Oh,
and
getting
we've already
ready
got
for
the
the 21,
listing.
22.
So the next one they're going to submit, and we're going to shove it off to the legislature.
So the actual monies for 21, 22 will not come until July 1st of 2021.
20.
What in the
That's
heck?
why we have to get everybody on board way.
Yeah, well, those component projects are in, notice I said drainage, right? Okay, that's the key words, right? Drainage correction. So anyway, I don't know what I was going to say. Okay, so last of all, district, what we like to do is just ask this question every year. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you'd like to talk about now before ending our meeting?
I'm good.
He's good, I'm good.
Would we want to note that they may submit for this if it passes? Would that be something you guys would be interested in?
Yeah.
Okay.
To beat Charlie, district is anticipating to
Sheesh.
submit.
I love this already.
Facial recognition software.
Yeah, for facial, district's interested in it.
Yeah.
Then we can sort of have
Wow.
a rolling list of who might come and.
And they've been living it up the last week. Actually, since, let's see, the last, sheesh. They've been living it up though.
What is it, facial recognition?
Facial
Software.
recognition
Software?
Security software. Because maybe even with that little bit of, instead of hiring 13 different companies do the same
Might have
thing.
one company do it.
Maybe hire, one company, here's the model.
Right.
What's the deliverable? What type of statistics do we
Think so.
get? And we could present that to the legislature in a more holistic approach
I passed.
to then try to enhance the model. Because if we go out and onesie twosie at 13 times, we're going to get 13 varieties of data and respond
Right.
stuff. And they'll say, how did it work? State construction, we're like, well, this one worked, this one, and it'll be all over the board.
13 different answers.
Yep.
So the component part, Troy, that I put in for last year, it got overlooked somehow. Before this time last year. So we're on the list now.
Yeah, you have 2 projects.
But they're just down.
Yeah, we're way down. Okay, I'm following you. Yeah, we're gonna keep applying for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just keep going
Yeah,
for it.
absolutely.
Until you get so much major maintenance flowing, you don't need it. I
I
mean, that's the goal.
mean, yeah.
Is that the right reference?
Yes.
So 0-0-0-1.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Anything else, district? Good. So we'll probably ought to start putting this in and informing each district as we go forward, if it continues.
Yeah, and then we need to have a process.
That'd be awesome.
Raj, could you track which districts would?
Don't
are
send it to
interested?
Plat One though.
Okay.
Too late, I already know about it.
You know what though? We can screen their.
I
their
saw
application.
it. Plat one all over the component. They're always getting money already.
What application?
Well, listen, we're not bitter that we're losing it. I just want to let you know that. We're not bitter at all. So, okay, with that then, staff, anything else?
Thank you guys for your.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
coming
you
in
for coming.
person. I think it's good to see people.
Yeah, it's
I
always.
want to thank
always a
Amy
pleasure.
Amber for helping out. Appreciate it.
Isn't she wonderful?
She
So
is.
good. We
I
appreciate
was
her
trying
a
to do
lot.
all this over coming off of surgery, and she helped out a lot.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to end.